Hey, Magic friends, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on Captain Clyde's MTG, and we're back for 411 leaks of new Capenna. 411, that's right, the beautiful Monday evening. So, as we get started, let's just jump right into it. I'll put all the stuff at the back end this time. Just make sure you subscribe for me, I'd appreciate it. So, moving right along, our first card that we have here is Rakish Revelers. So for a white, green, red, and 2, this common, which is an elf druid rogue, good lord, can you say multi-class, is a 5/3. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green and white citizen token. For 2, you can exile the Revelers from your hand. Okay. Target land gains, add red, green, or white until the Revelers is cast from exile. You may cast Revelers for as long as it remains exiled. That's a very interesting mana fixing. Um, I think it's going to be great probably in limited just because you can mana fix. Probably commanders will like the mana fixing for this, so that's probably going to be a thing. That cards you can mana fix with and then cast later. Uh, but other than that, I mean, I don't think it's going to do anything. It's just a common, and I'm just not feeling it. So moving right along, we got a lot to cover today. The next one we have Brazen Upstarts. They're white, green, and red. Again, 4/2 for 3 with Vigilance. It's not too bad. When it dies, look at the top 5 cards of your library, reveal a creature card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of the library in random order. This thing is nice. This thing is going to be in every 3-color deck. I can see this easily being in limited. Definitely in standard. This might find ways into modern. A 4/2 for 3 is not bad. And when you're in colors like red, green, and white, and it dies, you get to look at the top 5 and pick another card that's a creature and put it in your hand. That's basically 2 for wanting somebody, or you one for one them, and then you still have a card in your hand to cast. Like this may see play in like some farm or zoo decks in modern, and commander might like it too, just because you get to go hunt and stuff. But because you only hunting creatures, maybe not. But I think it's gonna be a good card, guys. So pick up your foils while you can. Next here we have Raffine's Informant, a white and 1 for a 2/1, good rate. When it enters the battlefield, it convenes. For those of you who don't know, convening is where you draw a card, then discard a card. If you discard a non-land card, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So for 2 mana, you can get a 3/2 common. Not bad. Probably definitely good enough for limited. Probably pretty good for standard too, to be honest with you. That might be as far as it goes, just because being in white, I don't think there's too many decks that want that. Next, we have Unleash the Inferno. So for a green, red, and a black and 1, we have an instant. Deals 7 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Wow. When it deals excess damage this way, destroy target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to the amount of excess damage. So this is going to see play in lots of decks. Definitely great for limited. It's a great removal spell. Great removal spell for standard. It's really pushing it for modern, but maybe a sideboard card just because it lets you kill artifacts um, and enchantments with the excess damage, maybe. This is definitely going to be a commander card. This has got commander wrote all over it. I hear you guys writing this card down right now to pick up a foil. But yeah, this looks like to be a pretty good rare. Probably about $5. Foil is probably pretty expensive by you commander players. Is Q&A from it. All right, moving right along. Next, we have the Hypnotic Grifter. For 1 blue, it's a 1/2. For 3 mana, he convenes. So that's not too bad. Basically, a mill through your deck and make this thing huge. Decent uncommon. However, in limited, it's only going to be okay because you will mill yourself to death because you're only playing 40 cards. Probably won't see probably anything is standard out of this thing either. There's too many ways to kill it. I don't see it doing anything unless there's some weird combo somewhere in Commander or Pioneer where you make infinite mana, mill yourself, and then lay that 2 blue thing that lets you win when you have no cards in your deck. So I forget what it's called. Anyway, moving right along. Next we have the Revel Ruiner. So a black and 3, excuse me, for a 3/1 with menace, not bad. It's a common. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you convene. So you can't make it a 4/2. Nothing special. Only a limited all-star at best. Moving right along, now we have the Echo Inspector. For a blue and 3, it's a 2/3. Flying, when it enters the battlefield, you convene. Just a common, probably limited all-star at best. Moving right along. Topetary Stomper. Ooh, So for 2 green and 1, you get a 4/4 with Vigilance. When it enters a battlefield, you can search the library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. It can't attack or block unless you control 7 or more lands. That's not hard to do if you ramp it up a little bit. If you can ramp on 2, that'll get you to 4 or 5 on the turn you lay this. If you lay a second one, you can get to 7 and actually attack on turn 4 with a 4/4. So not too shabby. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of weird shenanigans going on with this. I'd say it's probably about $5 rare until someone figures out how to break it. Definitely going to be a limited all-star. Maybe good enough for standard. We'll have to wait and see, though. That's about as far as it goes, probably. Maybe Pioneer. Next, we have the Cemetery Tampering. So for a black and 2, you have an enchantment with Hideaway 5. For those who don't remember, when you hide away something, when it enters a battlefield, look at the top. You look at the top X cards. This one is 5 of your library. Exile 1 face down, the rest on the bottom in random order. Then you get to play that card for a special effect, which is this one. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you may mill 3 cards, and when there are 20 or more cards in your graveyard, you may play the exile card without paying its mana cost. I'm sure this is probably going to be a $5, $10 card, probably an expensive foil, only because I could see this easily being some kind of weird shenanigans. It's probably not going to be a limited all-star just because you'll probably mill yourself to death before you can play something that'll win the game. But if there's something in standard that lets you just win the game, this is probably going to do it for you. Also, it could be in a good blue-black Pioneer deck, so you can mill through your deck, and put that blue card for 2 that lets you win when you have no cards left in your library, and just, eat through your deck while you keep that tucked away in exile where nobody can mess with it. So, moving right along, next we have the Security Bypass. It's a blue and 1 for Enchanted Creature. As long as the creature is attacking alone, it can't be blocked. And when it deals damage to a player, you convene, which is where you draw and then discard for a +1/+1 counter. Pretty much a fixed curiosity, I think. It'll be okay in limited. It'll probably be pretty good in limited because of card value and what have you. Other than that, I don't see it doing a whole lot in standard unless there's some weird fast blue deck. So moving right along, we have Out of the Way. Get out the way. Anyway, so for a blue and 2 or blue and 3, you return target non-land permanent opponent controls their hand and draw a card. It costs 2 less of its green, so bounce for 2 and draw a card against a green creature or a green permanent. Pretty good uncommon. I think it'll be decent and limited. I think it'll really start shining in standard if green becomes a big player in the format. And depending on formats and other, Pioneer, Modern, it'll probably be a great sideboard card if green becomes very prevalent, only because of it casts for 2 and you draw a card from it. So probably pretty good for Commander. All around, I think it's a good card. I like it. Next, we have Tolls, the Clever Conductor. So for a blue or a black, and then a blue, and then a white or a blue, or basically 3 blues, what it's saying. But anyway, you got 3/1, legendary creature, human rogue. When he enters the battlefield, he convenes. Once again, draw, discard. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, exile them from your graveyard. When Tools dies, put those cards exiled this way into their owner's hands. So cards like this make Convene worth playing, because you literally can use this guy even by himself. Put him in play, he convenes, attack, block, whatever, kill something, draw the card, you get to draw a card. Convene in the meantime before you use him, put 2-3 cards in exile, then let him die, then draw 3. This thing's going to be a great rare, and probably going to have a deck built around it. Limited All-Star, definitely probably going to see standard play. May see play in other formats as well if Convene becomes a thing. Probably, I think it's going to be great in Commander too, so yeah, I probably want to pick up some of these as foil. Moving right along. Illuminator Virtuoso. So for 1 white and 1, it's 1/1 with double strike. This one in particular, whenever a spell targets him, you get to convene, which makes him bigger. So there may be a deck style where you play something like this with a bunch of target plus effects. Not only to make him bigger since he has double strike, but to make him naturally bigger as he gets +1/+1 counters, which sounds disgusting. But anyway, Obviously going to be great in limited. Will be good in standard, but there's a lot of removal. It might be hard to make this guy work unless you just play a bunch of protection spells. So yeah, have to see how that goes. All right, moving right along. Next we have the Shakedown Heavy. For a black and 2, we have an Ogre Warrior who's a 6/4 with Menace. He's a beast. So what's his drawback? Well, whenever he attacks, the defending player may have you draw a card, and if you do, you untap the Shakedown Heavy and remove it from combat. So basically, this thing says 3 mana, draw a card every turn. That's what this says. Um, so with that said, I think this is a good card. With that also said, this is a good way to get yourself decked. 2, this may be good enough to warp the format only because if you never have to kill it, but you have to let them keep draw cards, eventually you have to kill it. So you're like drawing a card once off of it, it means it's paid for itself. It just now becomes a cheaper Jam Day Tome, that you only pay 3 for once instead of 4 all the time. I really see in this being something special in the format, so we'll have to wait and see. I definitely think it's a limited all-star. I think it's going to be a standard all-star, maybe even modern. It's only 3 mana. It may sneak in there. Commander, definitely. Yeah, I think all around it's a great card. I mean, will it be busted? Probably not. But I mean, drawing 2 or 3 cards a turn if you got 2 or 3 of these out plus your draw steps, kind of hard to lose doing that. So moving right along, we have the Psychic Pickpocket for a blue and 4. You get a 3/2. When he enters the battlefield, it convenes. And when it convenes this way, return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So it convenes to make itself a 4/3, and it bounces something for 5. This seems like a limited all-star. Probably not going to be played very much in standard. 5 mana is a lot of money. A lot of money? Yeah, money, mana, whatever. And probably not in Commander. You've got better things to do for 5 mana. You probably just like win the game or something. Moving right along. Obscura Interceptor. So black, blue, white, and 1 for a 3/1 with flash and lifelink. And more text says, when it enters the battlefield, it convenes, so it can be a 4/2 with lifelink and flash. And you can return up to 1 target spell to its owner's hand. So basically, you bounce anything. You can even counterspell because they can cast something. You can play this in response, bounce it back to their hand. I think this is going to have a lot of legs, especially in limited, especially in standard. This is almost with the ability to convene if necessary. Um, I really hate to say it, it's almost a cryptic because if you don't have a card to discard, well, you don't even get a card to discard. You still draw and discard, but if you have a card to get rid of, you can get a better card, get a 3/1. I mean, this has so much going for it. I don't see how this is an expensive card. Why everybody playing Commander don't stick this in their deck. So there's that. Moving right along. All right, we have our first mythic, and of course it's not in English. Love the land, love it though. So we have a body cleaner. That's disgusting. 2 black and 2 for an ogre rogue. Why is that? Never mind. He's a 3/3. It has Death Touch. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, the body cleaner convenes. When the body cleaner dies, return another target non-rogue creature card with equal or less power from your graveyard to the battlefield. Interesting. I'm sure there's something about this I'm missing. I mean, with the other cards, this already has black in it. And, you can convene, put stuff into exile or whatever. But just the fact that you can pick up something from your graveyard, it's almost like uh, the graveyard thing, a black and 3, get a card back, get a creature back for 2/2, but it's less power. So like this is, I don't know why this is a mythic. I mean, it does have Death Touch. Um, yeah. Uh, I'm sure this is probably gonna be a $10 card at least. It's gonna be great in standard, probably great in limited, pretty good in commander. I think it's too much for any other format though, at least for right now. Until someone breaks it. Next, we have Obscura Ascendancy. Oh boy, here we go. Ascendancies are back. So, white, blue, black enchantment. Whenever you cast a spell, if its mana value is equal to the number of soul counters on Obscura Ascendancy plus 1, put a soul counter on Obscura Ascendancy, then create a 2/2 white spirit creature token with flying. As long as there are 5 or more counters on Obscura Ascendancy, all spirits you control get +3/+3. Sweet Jesus. So this is kind of like Elspeth on crack doing a seance. Like, I could just, you cast a spell. It's any spell, too, so this is just this thing is going to be amazing. But you gotta have everything in your deck. You gotta have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5 drop to really make it work. So in Limited, it's gonna be a real powerhouse. In Standard, probably more so. Uh, Definitely in Commander. It's easily a $5-10 card. I don't think a lot of the older formats will want to mess with this the rest of the way, but the newer formats are really going to try to abuse this card. So moving right along, next we have Queen Auger of Agony, or Queza Auger of Agonies. So for black, blue, white, and 1, you get a Seraphine Advisor. Whenever you draw a card, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life, and it's a 3/4. This thing seems dumb. And I mean that in a broken way. Because this thing, a 3/4 that punch your opponent in the face, and every draw step they lose a life, plus it's in blue where you can draw cards. Easily a limited all-star, easily a standard all-star. There's tons of combos in Pioneer and Modern this thing's going to be busted in. And if you're playing Commander, for the love of God, somebody brainstorm. Stroke of genius. Whatever. This thing is just going to be disgusting. Um, yeah, this thing is going to be priced like a $5, maybe more for a foil. So next we have Shattered Seraphine. So for a black, blue, white, and 4 colorless, 7 mana, you got common. That's a 4/4. It's an angel rogue that flies. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. Okay, there's a white Bart. For 2, exile it from your hand. Target land gains. Oh, there's no one of those. Add white, blue, or black for as long as it remains exiled. You may cast it as though uh, you may cast it. So another good mana fixture. It later becomes a big bulky behemoth that can't get taken out of your hand by a discard spell. I like it. It's a very interesting card concept. I'd like to see it on maybe some more powerful cards like a rare or two. But that might actually be too much, to be honest with you. This does seem like a really powerful effect to hide cards. Next, Public Enemy. So for blue and 2, enchantment order, you get the Enchanted Creature. All creatures attack Enchanted Creature's controller. If possible, when the Enchanted Creature dies, draw a card. Oh boy, this just says Commander shenanigans all over it. Um, yeah, the only purpose for this is Commander. There's nothing else you want to play this. It's got to be a multiplayer game. Um, Unless you want to put it on your own stuff and force your opponent to attack, I guess. Um, so there's always that, and I'll leave that shenanigans with you there. So bomb expertise. Red and 2 for an instant. Players can't gain life this turn. Damage can't be prevented this turn. Bomb expertise deals 3 damage to any target. Cool, it's a skull crack. Except it targets things for an extra mana. Not too bad. 3 mana is a bit much for standard, but it will be great in limited. Maybe even commander. Next we have Metropolitan Angel. Boy, these pictures, these angels are weird. Um, it's a blue, white, and 2 for an angel soldier. It's a 3/1 that flies. Whenever you attack with 1 or more creatures with counters on them, draw a card. That seems busted. Good uncommon, great and limited. It's gonna be an amazing limited card. Maybe even breakthrough in standard with that kind of ability and only costing 4 mana. Other than that, probably not a whole lot going on except maybe commander. Next we have a stimulus package because Lord, we ain't seen enough of that last year. Anyway, green, red, and 2 for an enchantment. When stimulus package enters the battlefield, create 2 treasure tokens. Alright, so this basically costs 2 mana. Sacrifice a treasure token, create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token. Alright, so this is busted. Only because there's so many ways to make treasures that you can just make so many tokens. Um, yeah, like so many ways to make treasures that just turn into creatures. Ugh, this is disgusting. Should be a rare. Get foils while you can, boys and girls, because this thing's gonna get out of control. All right, moving right along. Oh, by the way, limited all star, great and standard. Commander's gonna love it. Probably Pioneer. Um, yeah. So, rooftop nuisance. So for blue and 2 sorcery, casualty 1, for those of you who don't remember, casualty is where you sacrifice a creature with a power equal to the casualty number to make a copy of this spell. Tap target creature. That creature doesn't untap unless controls next untap step. Draw a card. This is a great common for limited. Um, sacrifice a 1/1 to tap down 2 creatures that don't untap next turn so they don't hit you. Plus, you get to draw 2 cards. So you actually replace the card that you actually destroyed. That might have been a useless 1/1 or a token from the previous thing. Yeah, this is gonna be amazing. This is an amazing common. Limited All Star, probably about as far as it's gonna go. Maybe it might see standard play, but this just seems like a really powerful common. Popper, definitely in Popper. Anyway, moving right along. So we have depopulate. That's funny. WWN2. So Wrath of God mana boys. For sorcery, that each player that controls a multicolored creature draws a card, then destroy all creatures. Interesting. Heh. I mean, it's interesting, but it's a Wrath of God, so it's going to be great in limited, great in standard, great in pioneer, great in commander, yada yada yada. Great in modern maybe, but modern has Wrath of God. You don't need something like this. But hey, yeah, it's out there. $5 $10 card, easy. All right, we have a handsome outlaw here. And talking about that cat. Anyway, red, blue, black, and 3 for Vampire Rogue. Oh, okay. When it enters the battlefield, deals 2 damage to each opponent, and you scry 2. And this is the one where you can exile it to fix your mana for blue, black, and red, and cast it from exile. So it must be one of those for every color. Not a bad card, 4/5, great common. Limited All Star, about it. All right, we have a ceremonial groundbreaker, or apparently a shovel from the picture. Anyway, white, green, and 1. It's artifact equipment. Equip creature gets +1 +2 +1 has trample. Equip a citizen only takes 1, so you can make 3/2s all day long. And for 3, you can attach it to anything. Anything. Also notice that equipping a citizen doesn't say it can be done as a sorcery, so you can just slap that shovel on anything at instant speed probably. Uh, Pretty good and limited, probably about it. So next we have the Arc Splitter. For 1, we have an artifact equipment. When it has 1, this creature does 1 damage to target creature that's blocking it. It equips for 1, which is a sorcery. And that's pretty much it. With that said, this thing's disgusting. Um, you put this on a creature and nobody can block it because you just blow it out of the water. You have 4 mana up, you swing, they block with a 04 or a 25 with 4 toughness. You put 4 mana into it, deal 4 damage to a creature that's blocking it. Your creature lives, their big creature dies. This is going to be an all-star in limited. Oh my god, this is going to get things out of hand. Probably be pretty good in standard too, depending how the format shapes. The format shapes to creature format. This thing's going to be removal on stick. Yeah. Also, I can see some commander people playing this just for giggles because there's probably all kinds of combos you can do with this. Just saying. All right, next here we have the hostile takeover. Very funny. For a red, blue, black, and 2 5-mana sorcery, up to 1 target creature card has base power and toughness of 1/1 till end of turn. Up to 1 other target creature card has a base power and toughness of 4/4 to end of turn. And then hostile takeover deals 3 damage to each creature. Interesting. So basically, you can make your creature survive, make their creature die, and probably wrath the rest of the board. This is probably going to be a pretty good all-star for limited. I don't think it's a standard play. It's 3 colors. It doesn't guarantee a kill on everything. I mean, we just saw a new Wrath of God. It makes this irrelevant. So, probably bulk rare best. Next, we have the Vampire Scrivener. For a black and 4, you get a Vampire Warlock. It's a 2/2 flyer. That's kind of pricey. Whenever you gain life during your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Whenever you lose life during your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay. That can get pretty big pretty quick. But it's only on your turn when it gets the counters, so that may make it very unplayable in anything except for limited or commander. And commander, if you're spending 5 mana, you better be doing a lot more than this. So limited it is. Moving on. All right, Black Market Tycoon. So red and green for a 2/2, good rate. Beginning of your upkeep, deals 2 damage to you for each treasure, and you can tap it to create a treasure. Very interesting mana ability. Um, this pairs very well with the 4 mana thing that just turns treasures into citizens on a whim. So I think as a rare, this is going to be very powerful, probably at least $5-10, especially since it's not legendary. Uh, Limited All Star, Standard All Star, Commander All Star. Um, that's probably really about it. I don't think really you have better stuff than this in other formats. Moving on, we have so there's this thing, Luxor Guidia's Gift. So Shadow Spear wasn't bad enough. We got this thing. So for 1, you get to lay an artifact that has equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each counter on it. Equipped permanent isn't a planeswalker and is a creature in addition to its other types. You can equip a planeswalker for 1 or anything else for 3. So basically, if you got a 5/5 planeswalker, you can slap this bad boy on it, turn it into a creature that's a 5/5 for 1. Not to mention if you actually have something else with lots of counters on it. Uh, if it has a flying counter, +1/+1. Menace counter, +1/+1. So this thing is going to be the new Dark Spear. This thing's probably going to be. I want to say this thing's going to be like $50. It's going to be great in limited, great in standard, great in pioneer because walking ballista, hanger back, great in modern. Same reason. I mean, this thing, Commander, this is going to be, everybody's going to want this dang thing. It's going to be everywhere. Yeah, I'm calling it $50 card, probably $100 foil. Moving right along. Next, we have the Suspicious Bookcase. Uh, for 2 mana, you get an 0/4 Defender that for 3 mana can make things unblockable. Pretty good for limited, as far as it goes, obviously, but really good for limited. All right, moving right along. Oh, look at that. We have found the end. Boy, that was a long one. Only about 80 or so cards, it feels like. All right. We're about 3/4 through the spoilers, a little over half, really. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Do you like the cards? Do you think they're out of hand? Is it up to the same power level as Dynasty? Do you see new decks you want to build? Put them down in the comments below to help feed that YouTube algorithm, get me some more views, and I really would appreciate it. Because remember, I told you I'd wait till the end. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Comments down below feeds that YouTube algorithm. And as always, if you've done everything you can to help get us those 1,000 subscribers, check out the links in the description to the Patreon, the eBay store, and my personal email if you want to reach out in case you have any questions, advice, or you're just lonely, like I normally am, because all I do is sit here and play Magic all day. But anyway, until next time, be kind, and as always, I hope to see you across from the game table.